onset, even from the time that they're small children a lot of times, is a guilt over their behavior. And this is the number one thing that I think keeps parents sick and keeps them engaged in sick ways in relationships with their kids that are addicts, is they feel like somehow they are responsible. If I was somehow a better parent, if I had done better things when they were a child, if I did better things now, if I could figure out how to be better now, to talk to them right, to put them in the right treatment, to pick the right place, then they would get better. And it starts to set a parent up for their self-esteem to start to be crushed too, because they go, it's a failure to some degree on my part. And it's not. It's not my to believe. In 23 years of counseling kids and being an addict, I do not believe that by any stretch of the imagination. That doesn't mean that every parent that I've ever met is perfect either. Most of them have made mistakes, but they have not formed their kids' worldview into, you're going to be an addict. This is not something that is the parent's fault. Right? I have met only a couple. Michelle actually knows one of them, and I've only met 4 or 5 of these in my entire career that their parents absolutely started them young on drugs. And Michelle and I know one. She's, 19 years sober? 20 years sober now. Their parents started her when she was 9. They started her on heroin, living on the streets. So but that's the exception. That is not the rule. That's what I'm saying is most parents do the best with what they have from the day they get that kid there. Right? They do the absolute best to love and to nurture and to take care of them. So I'm not dealing with a bunch of kids that haven't been parented or taught or have been failed by their parents by any stretch of the imagination. They get into a drug problem, to go back to the way that I said most of the time. It's innocent. It's fun. I want to do this some more. And they don't realize how powerful these chemicals are or the social reinforcement that comes with it. I got high, I made a lot of friends, I feel cool, the people I look up to on social media get high. All of these things build into this is normal. And it works as a way to cope with your problems for a period of time. It doesn't work forever, obviously. You know what I mean? You've seen that with your kids, but for a period of time, it'll solve all your problems. It'll just make you feel good. It's just kicking it down the road, kicking it down the road, kicking it down the road, and you're skipping getting coping skills. So, and then to go back to the families. And if parents are going through this whole time, watching this happen with their kid and going, this is something I need to do different. This is something wrong with me. This is something I need to fix and control. What it makes it really hard then for a parent to do is to have boundaries or to step away and disengage when they need to, because they feel like disengaging is not loving. They feel like disengaging is lifting their arm and letting the kid walk into the traffic. And they're not looking at it like the kid's not 2 anymore. The kid's 18, 19, 20, 21, and may need to, theoretically, not actual traffic, walk into a little traffic and get a little bit of natural and logical consequence so they can learn. If you've been in between them and their consequences to some degree, then they have started to maybe form an idea of life. Mom and dad will keep me out of it. And they're finding ways to keep you in that spot. They're going to want to keep you there so they can avoid natural and logical consequences that come with their choices. The more that you run around and do, and you're willing to do, the less they're going to do. If my dad would have made me, CEO of the family and just paid me the rest of my life, I would never have sobered up. I would have loved that. And just put me in charge of the whole family, the finances and everything. You go to work, you bring me the paychecks, and I'll sort out how we're going to work it all out. It would have been great, right? If I could keep them doing that, I'd have been set for life. But again, them going, nope, we're not going to do that, was the best thing that ever happened to me. So what are the first things that we want to start to look at is for a kid to get better, those dynamics are going to have to change. Why would you stop avoiding all natural and logical consequences in life if your parents are willing to do them for you? You wouldn't. Why would you stop using drugs if mom, is going to bail you out every time you're in between jobs? You get all the financial support that you need. And what message does that start to send? Because you feel a little bit incapable as a parent. If you hang on to that and you're guilty, you will then inadvertently start to send the message to your kids that they're not capable either. Because if they were capable people, you'd let them learn from their consequences, right? So without even knowing it, now you have entered into this spiral of confirming to them that you can't do it. You're not able to step up and handle your life on your own. But it's not true. There's nothing, again, the way that I see it, there's nothing wrong with your kids. They have addictions, but those can be treated, and there's plenty of treatment out there. The other thing that the parent can then start to fall into, if you're blaming yourself, when your kid is regularly a victim, which is at the top of the list, I think, of what keeps addicts sick, is when they're blaming other people in some way, shape, or form for the way that they are and the way that their life is. It's a failure of the schools, it's a failure of you as a parent. They love to bring that up because if they can dangle that over your head, if you have a little bit of doubt that you might be guilty, they'll use it against you. This is your fault. You shouldn't have got a divorce when I was 3, and now I'm this way. Give me some money. They love it. They will stay there forever. That is one of the primary symptoms of an alcohol or drug problem, is an inability to take responsibility over your own behavior. And again, if somebody's willing to do it for you, why would you? So that's one of the things that they're going to need in treatment, is to take responsibility over their own behavior. It's one of the things that parents are going to need to do throughout treatment, is learn to take responsibility over their own behavior and go, okay, what am I going to do to respond? And does it help you or does it hurt you? And what you have to know is that what you're doing is loving. It has to come from that place of, this is my child, right? It can't come from a place of, any of you ever tried to put up a boundary when you're really angry? Just show of hands real quick. You got mad to put up a boundary? Okay. Here's why that fails most of the time. You can't do it. When you use anger to get the force to put up a boundary, you then cannot help but ending up feeling guilty later. What if the kid goes out and dies and the last thing I said to him was, get the hell out of my house? Or this, you're going to back off. When it comes from anger, the anger is what gave it power. So when the anger dissipates, the boundary won't have any power anymore. When you've put up a boundary and it comes from a place of love, kiddo, I know you can handle this. I don't want to participate in it anymore. I don't want to be a part of your addiction, of your spiraling. I love you. That's why I'm going to have this boundary. I'm not going to pay anymore. I'm not going to take care of you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to love you. I hope you get help. I'll have lunch with you, but you're not going to live in my basement and play video games at 26 and spend half my paycheck for the rest of my life while your siblings suffer because I am beholden to your addiction. I can't do that. I won't feel good about myself as a parent. That is a vulnerable place to come from. I'm mad at you. You did it for the last time. Get out. Doesn't work. Coming from a place of love and vulnerability can work, where you can go, no more, kiddo. And it's because I love you. You have to be treating them from that place of love. If you don't feel like it's loving, you will not be able to live with it. If you're wired like most parents, I guess I shouldn't speak in total rules. Typical shotgun approach. Most parents cannot be comfortable coming from that place. It has to come from dealing with, remembering who they are to you, and knowing that and being vulnerable about it and being open to it. That I'm sick of it, I can't handle it one more time. You can't handle it one more time. You'd walk through fire for them, is the truth. But say that. I'll walk through fire for you, whatever you do, because you would, right? Anybody else on this planet that you'd step in front of a train for than your children and automatically do it without thought? Probably not, right? It's wired. So you can embrace that to some degree and go, that's where I'm at with you. So when I put up a boundary, when I say no more, we're going to change this, that's what I'm doing, is I love you. And I think you can do it. And I don't think that I want to be a part of something that I think is self-destructive. One of the definitions that we spend a lot of time talking to our parents and our kids about in treatment is we give this as a healthy definition of love, especially as an adult, because it is different than a child. But we say it's now, is it love? Sometimes love is saying no, and sometimes it's saying yes. When we say it's the willingness to extend yourself, and it comes from a Scott Peck book, The Road Less Traveled, but he uses this definition. It's a great book. I suggest you read it heavily if you're involved in recovery. But is the willingness to extend oneself for the spiritual well-being of another, or the willingness to give or withhold in order to nurture another. So, and we use it real simple with addicts. We go, if I ask you, can I borrow your 45 and shoot myself? Is the loving thing to say yes or no?
No.
Exactly. No. And that is right. So when you make it that obvious, it's okay. So when I know you're going to go, everything I give you is going to go into your arm and potentially kill you tonight, and it's going to have come from me. Is it the loving thing to say yes or no, to give you an extra, pocket full of cash, or to make it easier for you to continue to live this way? You're just that, to me, it makes it really clear. You're just saying no to that 45. I'm not going to do that. You have my absolute undying support. If you're clean and sober and change your life, I'll be right there for you, and I love you either way. But I'm not going to participate in something that hurts you, and that's where you start to really, really change that.